Is the recipe for success, right? Not necessarily.
Going to be a breakout tattoo.
But a year and a half have passed and I don't remember them.
Disenchantment is an American adult fantasy animated sitcom created by Meg Greining for Netflix. The series is Greining's first production to appear exclusively on a streaming service. Having created the series in the present and in the future, cartoonist Meg Greining decided to head back into the past with Disenchantment. Greining eventually contacted Simpsons, Futurama, and Gravity Falls veteran Josh Weinstein to get the show on streaming.
The series, as usual, consists of seasons, but these are also called parts in order to emphasize the connectedness of what is happening. It positions itself as the most plot-driven Greining series to date. In this review, we have to figure out whether the experiment was successful, whether the creators succeeded in realizing their ambitious goals and at the same time not losing face. Meg Greining, being a real businessman, decided to put all his efforts into his brainchild. He immediately began trying from the early stages to monetize his work as much as possible. But is this fair to the fans?
On May 22, 2018, Greining released 3 teaser images on Reddit. The next day, the premiere date was revealed along with several more images. Before Part 2 was released, Greining created a new comic book company, Paper Books, which released a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive book, Disenchantment Untold Tales.
Meg Greining obviously wanted money because creativity needs to be monetized, especially after leaving for an almost free voyage. And of course, you need to tie your works together in order to create the closest possible connection between the new creation and the already beloved animated series.
The episode Dreamland Falls ties into Greining's other series, Futurama, implying that both shows do in fact take place in the same universe.
But despite the clearly and obviously present money side of what is happening, Greining is an artist and an excellent character creator. And this is very clearly expressed even in the way he himself talks about them.
So, what was the solution to indicate that Alpha was a grown-up with grown-up feelings? We gave him sideburns, Greining said. As for Lucy, a character who's unsettling, jet black and completely flat except for 2 big wide eyes, he's only of the few characters in the show that didn't originate with Greining's fantasy doodles. This is a character that I designed independently of the show. Obviously, it's in a completely different style. I think it's going to be a breakout tattoo.
Such a marketer.
For example, King Zork wears a crown, and he's a king, but it's supposed to look like a floppy head crown thing worn by Jughead in Archie comics. Here are our characters. I drew this at breakfast. This is Princess Bean. Now, would you say, is she a princess? Yes, you can tell by the crown, right? Greining said, making sure everyone at the table was in view of his signature illustration style.
He's like a child himself. It's very nice that person, having been in a business for 30 years, is still fond of his creativity. Is this not what we're all striving for? Surely a blank new canvas and the increased creative freedom of streaming is the recipe for success, right? Not necessarily.
The action takes place in the fictional medieval state of Dreamlandia, in which there is magic, intrigue, and battles with unpleasant creatures. The heroine of the series is Princess Bean, suffering from alcohol addiction, her friend and drinking companion, the elf Alpho, her own demon named Lucis. They travel around the kingdom constantly fighting with dangerous creatures, harpies, walruses, trolls, ogres, and so on.
This is approximately the description of the first season that you will find on the internet, and to be honest, it doesn't quite reflect the essence of what is happening.
As exciting as that sounds, after a few episodes the plot seems to lose direction as it ventures from its main setting, Dreamland, into worlds unknown, from the swamps of Denkmire to the Age of the World. While it does showcase just how diverse the world of Disenchantment is, it all feels unimpressive and disjointed.
Meg Greining tried to jump over his head and create something epic, something that looks like a modern version of Shrek, the hero and his friends who go against the rules and canons. But something went wrong. I suddenly have a peculiar sense of humor. I love clever jokes, but this is everyone's business and I will not execute the series for this. Moreover, a sense of humor also needs to be developed from differing angles. At the same time, Futurama left behind a pleasant aftertaste and there's an interesting humor there.
The show only tends to pick up steam when Bean and friends escape from the kingdom for extended periods. This suggests that what Disenchantment really needs is to shift away from a static setting and give Bean and her friends a more defined and focused quest to carry out. The first 10 episodes of Disenchantment are like being on a road trip, where instead of slowing occasionally to enjoy the scenery or stopping to glance at or admire some noteworthy roadside attraction, the narrative seemingly moves for the sole purpose of raking up as many miles as possible. It's seemingly the start of sweeping misadventure across the fictional kingdom of Dreamland that includes Shrek-alike allusions to popular fairy tale characters and scenarios.
Are you talking to me?
Subsequent episodes see Disenchantment settle into a familiar and nebulous streaming zone where the overarching story is at odds with mandated episode count.
Let's summarize everything said on the first season.
Familiar animation style. There are funny jokes. The picture as a whole is pleasing to the eye. Insufficient depth of characters. The audience has no connection with them. Lack of settings. Prolonged jokes for the sake of timing.
I can say that the first season is likely to be very quickly forgotten. I had to revise it to review the script for the video. The only thing I remembered was that the first season was better than the second one. The first season was forgiven a lot due to the fact that this is only a part of the story and the continuation awaits us. There's where everything will start to make sense for sure. But unfortunately, minuses have not turned into pluses, and some of them even got worse. The only thing that has changed is the presence of a variety of settings, which is good news. But the second part of the animated series by Matt Greining only confirms the fears left after the first episodes. The project lacks originality. The second part of the series, Disenchantment, continues to tell the story of the eccentric Princess Bean, who, having left her native kingdom of Dreamland, learns about the terrible secret of her mother. After that, together with her partner, a demon nicknamed Lucy, she goes to rescue another friend, elf Alpho. Once again united, the friends are experiencing new adventures, not suspecting that a new threat is hanging over them. Some of the comedic bits which would normally fit in traditional 22 network TV frame are often painfully stretched in order to fill the extra space. Bean's journey this season is all about self-discovery. Disenchantment also shines in the visual department, with Season 2 traveling beyond the borders of Dreamland to exciting new locations, including the fiery pits of hell, where we'll learn more about Lucy's background as a demon, and the technological advanced streets of Steamland, which looks like something ripped out of BioShock game. Not only are this location visual eye candy, but they each have unique characteristics that set them apart. Steamland, for example, is more progressive in terms of gender equality than Dreamland, which gives Bean a new perspective on what women are capable of when given a chance. Disenchantment Season 2 delivers a more impactful story than its first outing, with great character development and dynamic new locations to explore. The scriptwriters of the new 10 episode of Disenchantment offer a hybrid plot of the series, with some episodes moving forward the cross-cutting plot, while others tell completely independent stories with the leading characters of the show. By and large, the authors fail to succeed in either one. The main problem is that Disenchantment has an overarching storyline, meaning that the major plot points presented has to conclude at one point in the story, and to achieve that requires building a cohesive and coherent plot. That keeps the audience engaged and guarantees them coming back, expecting a satisfying conclusion. Using the storyline formula exposes Matt Groening's glaring weakness. He does a poor job of maintaining the flow of the plot, as the later episodes bumble around in fillers and occasionally strays away from the main arc. Disenchantment still has a long way to prove its mettle. It might be wrong to judge it's only after 2 seasons, but I've seen what it did and what it is capable of. The characters keep interesting to follow, but for how long? Honestly, I'm excited to see how it will go, but if Matt Greining decides to leave more breadcrumbs for us to follow in the next season, I might be as well disappointed by his storytelling powers. More settings. Bean and Alpho's characters have depth. Also long drawn-out jokes. Overarching storyline does not justify itself, and filler episodes only drag on painfully. The second season was released almost immediately after the first one, and it still helped the series stay afloat. The third came out after a year and a half, which blurred the picture of what was happening. Since Netflix is a commercial-free streaming platform, co-creators Matt Greining and Josh Weinstein don't have to operate under the confines of broadcast television, where most animated comedies are relegated around 22 minutes per episode. Disenchantment continues to push its runtimes up to 30 minutes, which tends to stretch many of the comedic scenes beyond their welcome. The recklessness of her youth brought Princess Bean to the stake. At the end of the second season, she was decided to be burned for an attempt to kill her father King. At the crucial moment, the platform fell into the ground. Bean was saved by her scheming mother, Dagmar, who led the underground people of grey skin and black-eyed trogs, obvious relatives of local elves. Another riddle slipped in instead of answering the previous ones? Yeah. But fortunately, there are fewer such techniques in this season than in previous ones. Matt Groening's third installment of Disenchantment continues to build on its expansive medieval fantasy world with an adequate number of flaws, although some running jokes continue to outstay their welcome. Disenchantment Season 3 loses of its comedic momentum with running gags that are stretched too thin. And one more very unpleasant moment, the series strives all the time to throw characters from the previous series right into our face, but a year and a half have passed and I don't remember them. Yes, the main and bright ones can still be remembered, but not all of them. I'm sorry, but I'm not so emotionally attached to the show that I can remember all this and enjoy it. While the vocal performances of leading stars Abby Jacobson, Eric Andre, and Nat Faxon remain excellent, their characters' respective stories failed to leave a lasting impact after the Season 3 final. In the visual department, the animation continues to shine with some new and familiar locations to explore in Season 3. The series' return to Steamland gives the animators a chance to show off more of steampunk-inspired landscape that filled with plenty of flying blimps and some intimidating light-bulb-headed robots that you wouldn't want to come across in Dark Alley. While not as varied in location as Season 2, there is still plenty of animated eye candy to enjoy throughout. Well, at least we're given the story of the characters, their disclosure and experiences. While not as prominent as in Season 2, Bean does have some compelling character moments as her journey of self-discovery continues the more time she spends away from her dad and her hometown of Dreamland. We said that there were not enough locations and adventures in the first season, that the story just drags on and does not lead to anything, so forget it. The third season rushes from location to location, the characters change, something constantly happens, and if you are distracted for a minute, you lost it. You will not understand anything. We're thrown in like important stuff about curses, saviors, prophecies, but immediately run away headlong because we need to look for new adventures and solve new problems. Disclosure of the characters. The jokes are still drawn out. Tries to play on feelings of affection. The storyline is not the forte of the authors. Running too fast to adventure. But before we go to the conclusion, make sure to subscribe to the channel so you won't miss new videos. Unlike its storylines, the problems with Disenchantment are becoming clearer as the series progresses. It wants to be a plot-driven fantasy epic, but it inhabits a world in which anything is possible and thus, nothing has consequence. It also wants to be edgy with the drug-talking, drinking, fighting and shagging, but never quite goes the distance with any of it. You will know by now whether you like Disenchantment, and if you do, here's 5 hours of fun for you. The problem is that Season 3 can hope only to retain the interest of that group. Casual viewers will find it more frustrating than funny. Disenchantment is still not a finished product, even at the time of Season 3. The series itself has not decided what to be. Prolonged jokes, a cross-cutting plot that doesn't work, but still Matt Greining loves his brainchild, and for this he can be forgiven for his inability to build a plot. In order to save the show, authors need to hire people who can really write the stories.